And welcome to a very quiet episode of The Incredible Hokes. I'm Chris.
I'm Mark.
And we're being quiet because it's really late at night and we don't want to wake anybody up. Hence, we're not in the man cave, the new man cave.
And we may or may not be part of the Bridge of Spies. We don't know.
We don't know. No one knows for sure.
We might be.
Well, let's just do this real quick. Bridge of Spies. Make it timely. What's your review of Bridge of Spies? We just saw that. We literally just saw that.
We just got back from that. Yeah, and all the folks are in bed, so we're being quiet.
Yeah.
We're doing the kitchen man cave today.
Man cave.
So
this
is fun.
The kitchen is the home away from home for the man cave.
Yeah. It's
where the food is, man.
It's a good plan B. I give Bridge of Spies, the new Spielberg movie, political drama, 3 stars. I think it's a good movie. It's very slow, methodical.
In a good way.
In a good way. I think up until the very end. I think the ending for me kind of is drug out. It's kind of like once a critical scene happens, it kind of like it's like, okay, we get it. He's done there's a point where the protagonist.
It's basically he's saying it's this film's version of the old man scene in Private Ryan. Like it goes on.
Yeah.
Or Schindler's List, all the extra stuff with Schindler's List. Spielberg has a habit of like, okay, you made your point. Why are you reinforcing it 3 more times?
I just felt like he really needed to just. There was a moment where it just needed to cut off. We knew he was going to, because he's over in Europe. We didn't need to come back to America and do the whole follow-up. We get all that. There was nothing in that last
But aim into it.
10 minutes that was, I thought, told me anything.
So he pulled a Peter Jackson in Lord of the Rings 3.
The multiple endings.
I thought that it was a good movie. It's methodical. It's patient. 3 stars is what I would give it to. It's not great. It's very well acted, very well made. It's quiet. The soundtrack, the musical score is very minimal. The camera movements are minimal.
Yeah,
it's just even the title graphics for the credits are minimal. Everything's minimal. He does some really cool things with different color techniques. With these in West Berlin versus East Berlin, and America versus Europe as in general, and things like that, or America versus some of the U.S. bases or Russia for the Gary Powers stuff. And the whole point of the movie is an exchange of spies for a Russian spy captured America versus the downed U-2 pilot Francis Gary Powers. From the 50s, I believe, or 60s, 50s. It happened in the 50s, correct?
1957, when the movie took place. Yeah.
I think 61 was the ending, because I noticed when the license plate.
Well, yeah, it said years later.
So years later. So it takes place over the course of maybe
see
5, 6,
what I mean?
7 years.
There's so many endings. He's confused.
Yeah. Yeah. But it drags out. It's a little too minimalist. There are a few scenes that could have been edited a little quicker. But I got what he was going for, but it's definitely not a movie for teenagers or hell, even college students. It's more for that 30-plus crowd to go and enjoy. This is not a movie that the teenager is going to get dropped. If your teenager says they're going to get dropped off to Bridge of Spies, either they're lying or they're going to be really bored. One of the two. Not for...
To give people some frame of reference, if people are familiar with more recent films of the last 10 years, like The Good Shepherd with Matt Damon, or Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy with Gary Oldman. Yeah. I almost said the wrong Gary. Gary Oldman.
Francis Gary Powers. Starred Francis Gary Powers. It's funny. He keeps getting around.
Anyway, the tone, the pacing of those two films is very much like Bridge of Spies. Very slow. Even the way they're shot is like we're not going to do a Technicolor, something that looks great on HD. Very, which
stripped down of color,
very stripped down and all that. Those things can work. I think people that are a fan of like low light movies, like on their TVs. Yeah. Movies like this, if you're a low light fan, I think are are of interest. I'm not a fan of the way that kind of shooting, but that's another story.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! So if you really want to go see the movie and you're all about being anti-spoiler,
spoiler.
All right, spoiler alert. Okay, there's a scene where Francis Gary Powers is shot down, which that's a historical fact, so that's not really a spoiler alert.
Okay.
But there's all in the trailer. There's like all this action. Well, all the action happens when he gets shot down. That's it. That's the only action scene.
That is it.
And what's funny is the movie is very realistic and methodical, and very just realistic. They get to the Gary Powers shoot down scene, and all of a sudden it becomes fucking James Bond and Mission Impossible for like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
With this over the top action that I know in hell that Francis Gary Powers could he have done this. And as soon as that scene's in, it goes right back to being realistic.
Right.
Because he's literally free falling from the sky with a wrecked plane, and he's crawling through the wreckage before he parachutes off to set off a self-destruction switch to destroy the film that he's shot with his spy cameras. Meanwhile, he's in free fall, hurtling down. And this is like the most like humanistic, minimalistic, realistic movie. And then he's got a goddamn Mission Impossible scene.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere for like 2 minutes. It really is irrelevant to the movie. It's completely irrelevant to the movie.
Well, you could even have it off screen because a lot of the action off screen is handled throughout this movie with the old black and white televisions, and someone will walk in and like the newscast will tell you some information.
Yeah, they got him. Yeah.
They could have totally had a guy turn on the TV and by the way, he was shot down.
I mean, they could have just done they could still had a action scene, but I mean, he's literally like what he does is not even possible.
Well, Spielberg, he's a smart businessman. He knows I've got a movie
production value
that does not have an action scene. It's not really even a thriller. It is, and it's not even a political intrigue thing. It's political historical drama, but it's not Casablanca, nor is it Hunt for October. So
to conclude this,
yes.
Here's my overall 3-star movie. Well acted, well made. If it's one you miss at the theater, catch it on home video. It's not like if you don't see the theater, you're really missing that much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, on that, but I'm kind of tired of Spielberg's minimalist approach. He did it with Lincoln. He's done it with some of the others, Munich and whatnot.
Yeah.
I'm ready for flashy, flamboyant Spielberg to come back. And big Spielberg with big stuff happening. And he's, even though Lincoln was a historical drama, it was so minimalistic too. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of I want big explosion, hard cutting it. Schindler's List and Prime both punched you in the gut. They were so gritty. I mean, he was like this blockbuster director, and he just punches you right in the mouth with these movies. And he's like lost some of that edge, and I want that Spielberg to come back. I want the edgy or big or something to come back. And I'm if his next movie is in this vein, I probably will just go ahead and skip it at the theater.
Yeah, I would too. I don't know this to be true, but I suspect that Munich, Lincoln, and Bridge of Spies is part of kind of an unofficial political historical trilogy. And I don't know that for sure, but I think that probably is accurate because a lot of the stuff I've seen on the web that are like his other projects that are possible future projects really don't fit that mold, but of course Bridge of Spies do. So I have a feeling that he is aware of that and he's about to give us something else in the future.
He needs to either change the palette or go do something more commercial or hit me in the mouth again. But this minimalist approach with the European style of filmmaking, I'm kind of over. I'll if his next one looks this way, I'll just watch it at home. I'll skip the theater.
Yeah, I mean, I would too, unless it's like a subject. It'd have to be something I was really interested. I mean, Lincoln, I was going to go no matter what because I'm
Lincoln buff.
I'm a U.S. president's buff, so I was going to go to that no matter what. Mm. So he lucked out on that.
Yeah, the last word.
Last word. We've been gone for a little while, but we're back. We had a nice break, so expect to see more Incredible Hokes.
Bye.